Hi, I'm Andrea Eppy. I've been a UX designer in the tech industry for 8 years, and today I'm going to explain what information architecture is, how it's like the organization of your house, and how you can build it for your own websites. Before we begin, you can get unlimited downloads of web templates, UI kits, and fonts with Envato Elements. That's millions of creative assets all ready to use with simple commercial licensing. Subscribe now with the link in the description. Information architecture is organizing and deciding what content to include or not include on your website or app. So this includes all the information on your website, and it helps your audience understand how to achieve tasks. Even if it's not the most exciting, it's definitely one of the most important parts of UX design, because a carefully designed information architecture can determine if your users are going to leave or stay within the first few seconds of visiting your website. Just like an architectural blueprint determines the layout of your house, information architecture determines the structure of your website. At the end of this, we'll have a structure or map of all the content that exists on your site that users can easily navigate and understand, so they're not running circles looking for information. Making your information architecture starts with determining your main user goals. This will help us figure out our top level pages. So the starting point is the home page, and then you link out to all of your other main pages. To figure out what those other pages are, you want to figure out what the main actions you want the user to do while they're on your site. For instance, the main user goals of an e-commerce site might be to search for clothing, add it to your cart, and find a nearby store to shop at. So some top pages might be the clothing categories, the cart, and locations. We can also look at information architecture like your house, or in my case, apartment. So what's the main layout of all the rooms of your house? A few rooms you need are a kitchen to cook in, a bedroom to sleep in, and a bathroom to shower in. So those would be included in the top navigation if your house was a website. One thing to note is that the homepage shouldn't be too long trying to explain everything on the whole site. It should give a clear sense of the main purpose and the type of things that you can find. If you already have a website, one way to do this is to do a content audit. So list out all the pages with the number of visits, the URLs, and the type of content. This can help you see what pages users are visiting most and you might want to draw more attention to, and what pages you might want to move or delete if they're not visiting those often. Once we have the main pages in our hierarchy, we can start grouping content within those pages. So think about what you want users to do on each page. Just like you organize items in your house based on how likely you are to use those things for main tasks in each room. So the items you'd need in your office might be all of your SD cards, chargers, and camera equipment, while you would use utensils in the kitchen. And if you're like me, sometimes you use the kitchen counter as a desk, and that would be incorrect placement because the goal of a kitchen is to cook food, not to work. So if that were a page, we'd move that desk under the office page. And for our e-commerce example, you'd put the product pages under clothing, the checkout flow under shopping cart, and the map of stores under location. The next important part of information architecture is determining the usefulness of each page and piece of content. So we want to make sure that the content that users see is relevant depending on what page they're on. So for our house example, if we put every single item from the kitchen out on the countertop, it'd be way too overwhelming to find exactly what we need when we need it. This is called cognitive overload. So instead we have cabinets and drawers to hide all of this information for when we need it, aka drop-down menus. So if you have an e-commerce site, you generally want to group concepts together in drop-downs, for example, by type of clothing or accessories. And based on your content audit, you can see how effective and useful each page is based on those metrics. So this will help us prioritize which components to focus on and place higher than others. For example, you probably don't use a leaf blower every single day, so we'd place that tucked away in storage instead of just laying out in the middle of the garage. Another thing that we consider is how people will be using your site. It's important to assume that people won't always be reaching your website from the home page, aka the front door. They might enter from a blog post link or an image search on Google. Visitors can come through any of those site pages, so it's important to orient users where they are. Just like you might often enter your home from different doors, entry from either the side door or the garage door should be as easy to navigate and appealing as entering from the front door. If it's a blogging site, users should know what category of post they're in and how they can navigate throughout the larger structure of the site from there. And the user might also be viewing your site from mobile or desktop, so we need to make sure it's available on any platform. Just like you would add lights to your home, so we can still navigate throughout any of the rooms at any time of day. And of course, your site structure will always evolve and change based on your user needs, just like you might change around the rooms in a house based on a growing family. There's always room for improvement. That's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to check out the millions of creative assets you can get with Envato Elements from the link in the bio below.